Hello everybody, my name is Jeremy from Schenectady, New York, guys. I want to give you a little feedback about myself and everything, but before I do that, guys, please like, share, follow my page, guys, and help me grow a nice little community here, guys. I'm trying to grow a community and encourage and instill wisdom and tell about my life experiences over my life, battling, anxiety, depression, suicide, um, and other stuff part of my life, guys. So feel free to ask questions in the comment or message me personally, guys. My goal on here on social media is to try to reach one person out there to try to make a difference in their life, to let you know that no matter how bad life feels and how lost and lonely you feel out of place and everything in the world, guys, that it's not worth taking your own life, guys. That you can always reach out to me, guys. So my name's Jeremy, guys. That's my cat Lucky right there, my baby that I rescued. Um, so I grew up, in Schenectady County. Went to school at Elmer Avenue, Oneida Middle School. Never went to high school though because I dropped out in 8th grade, guys. Childhood sucked. Um, Grew up a lot without utilities or power or cable in the house and everything because we couldn't afford it. My dad wasn't always in my life as a kid. Once in a while I'd see him on the weekends, but not that often, guys. My brother used to try to choke me, punch me in the head, give me concussions, chase me around with knives and everything as I was a kid, trying to kill me and everything. He used to choke me until I'd pass out and everything. Um, at school, I was always the outcast. It was me, Kelly, Bill, Heather, Ashley, John every now and then. Part of our own little group at school and everything. We were always sat in the back and whatnot. Mickey. Um, but I was always picked on, bullied at school and everything for being skinny, called aid victim and everything because I'm skinny. No matter how, when I used to hear that and everything, I used to cry myself to sleep at night and everything, wish on the stars that, it'd be my last day around because I didn't like being bullied at school, guys. Back then, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s and everything. We didn't have a lot of the hypocrisy that we do now in life and everything. Back then your neighbors would help you out. Nowadays, neighbors don't want to help you out, guys. But I want to say thank you to Bill Johnson, Kelly Johnson, Dan and Courtney Burgess out there for being part of my life and helping me through a lot of difficult times in my life and everything. Um, and Courtney, I spent so many nights at Courtney and Dan's house playing video games all night long with Dan, and drinking my Jack Daniels whiskey while he'd be drinking his Jägermeister, and we'd be drinking our Bud Light, eating Papa John's pizza, playing video games all night long, all morning. We used to have a blast. Me and Dan always fishing at Lock 7. Had a blast. I miss those days. Miss sitting outside by the fire at night and just enjoying life and living life. You guys have helped me out tremendously throughout my life and everything. And I want to say thank you, guys. I miss you guys. I haven't seen or talked to you guys in years. Miss you guys. Love you guys from the bottom of my heart, guys. You two have always been there and helped me out through thick and thin, guys. Even when I was at the lowest in my life, guys. You two have been tremendous to me. Kelly and Bill, you guys. Kelly, well, you're like my sister. Your dad was like my father. I miss him. Miss you guys. Miss hanging out with you guys, having cookouts, and just enjoying life and the little things. Getting tortured by the kids when they were younger and everything. But everybody's growing up. But Bill works all the time and everything. I miss you guys too. You guys helped me out when the flood happened and everything, and we've been through a lot through school and everything. We've been through hell and back together. The cruises and everything, guys. So thank you for being part of my life big time. Cartha, you helped me out through my life too. Try to give me words of wisdom and everything throughout the years and everything. And I say thank you to you. You're like my second mom. I love you, Cartha. My dad, weren't always close growing up. You used to spend summers at your house and everything. Now we're getting closer. Even though you live in Mississippi and I haven't seen you in, 13 years, Dad? Thank you for all the little help that you've been giving me a lot lately and everything. John Stewart, kids, wrestling in the backyard, playing micro machines at night, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo all night long. I used to have a lot of fun sleepovers and everything, wrestling in the yard, pretending we were going to be wrestlers when we grew up and everything, always my best friend when I was a kid. He moved to Florida, and, I still love you even though we don't talk much on Facebook, But yeah, I was, always bullied and picked on at school and everything, guys. I hated life growing up as a kid, still do as an adult. You know, I used to do a lot of stupid things as kids, smoking cigarettes, trying to steal beers, drinking beer. As a kid, trying to fit in with the wrong crowd and everything, trying to be cool. You know, I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to be known. You know, I wanted to be somewhere. You know, I wanted to be known. I wanted to be part of the crowd and everything. But instead, you know, I was always pushed aside and looked down upon and everything. Only thing I was good at as a kid was playing basketball. You hit 3-point shots from half court and everything. I loved it, man. Um, but other than that, you know, as a kid, there wasn't really much more to it. You know, I dropped out in 8th grade because of all the bullying and picked on and everything. So I dropped out. Uh, Mom died at 18 from cancer. Um, so yeah, other than that, you know, that's pretty much the life back then as a kid. Um, but yeah, you know, I want to try to start the social media group up and everything, and try to hope and give inspiration and, you know, inspire other people out there that, you know, no matter how long, no matter how hard life sucks and that you feel down and out and everything, that you can make it. We all go down our dark roads and everything, and you know, we all fight our demons. You know, whether it's, you know, wanting to be loved, want to accept it, whatnot in life and everything, guys. You know, we all try to, you know, we want those emotions. You know, we want that. You know, we try to let people change us. We try to let people mold us, tell us what we have to be, who we have to be, and everything, because that's society. You know, I mean, that's the new normal society these days. You have to be this way. You can't be that way and everything. You know, I'm not going to sit here and preach to you about the Bible and everything, guys. I don't read the Bible. I don't go to church. I haven't been to church in years. But yeah, I believe in God, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But yeah, guys, society tells you you have to be this way. You can't be this way. You can't love who you want to love. You can't express yourself the way you want to express yourself because you'll offend people and everything. And I hate that, guys. You know, we didn't really have that in the 80s and the 90s growing up. I mean, yeah, back then you had people coming out as gay and everything, and, you know, people were all clapping and hugging them and everything. You know, we all should love each other no matter what your race, religion, color, sexual orientation, whatever. We should all love each other regardless, guys, because that's just human nature, is that we should love you. We should help you out when you're down and out, guys, and you feel like all hope is lost. But nobody does that anymore these days. Everybody's too scared, you know. These days you try to be friendly with the wrong person out in public and everything, they might, you know, pull a gun, or you might get stabbed, or who knows. You don't know who you can trust these days or whatnot, guys. Everything, the media and government and politics screwed everything up these days, guys, and I'm sick of it, you know. You know, it's all red, it's all blue, you know, it's Republicans this, Democrats that. I'm sick of it, guys. You know, what happened to the 90s and the 80s, bro? We love, guys. What happened when we all used to try to help each other out and everything, guys? You know, there was no violence when you lost a game or anything like that. You just said good job and everything, better luck next time or whatnot, guys, when you played a sports game with your friends growing up and everything at school. You know, these days there's none of that. You know, every day everything's changed for the worse, guys. So, but besides that, guys, you know, the reason why I believe in God is because I don't know how old I was, 19, something like that, 20, something like that. I don't know, somewhere around there, 28, I don't know, in my 20s somewhere. Um, I overdosed on psych meds I was on and everything, guys, because, you know, I was just tired of being a burden to my grandmother, because my grandmother always used to say that she couldn't help me anymore. She didn't know how to help me. I was living on her one-bedroom living room floor, sleeping on one of those little foam mattress thingies. And she used to get so mad at me and everything, even though I would apply for jobs all the time and everything, like Price Chopper, Hannaford's, Walmart's, you know, whatever else, and never got callbacks, never got a job. So my grandma used to always get frustrated with me all the time, be like, I don't know how to help you, I don't know how to help you, I don't know how to deal with you anymore. So I used to tell her, all right, grandma, well, instead of me being a burn and everything and feeling like I'm causing you more hell and everything, I'll take myself out. You know, I used to grab razor blades and I'd grab some beer and go sit in the park, Scotia Park, and cut myself with razor blades and everything at night. And one night, you know, had maybe like 4 or 5 beers in me and everything, and took a bottle of Seroquel with me, and took the bottle up, chewed them up, swallowed them, tried to take myself out, guys. And when I got to the hospital and everything, my stepdad took me to the hospital and everything, took me right up to Dallas Hospital. As soon as I got there and told them what happened and everything, they put that oximeter, you know, heart rate monitor thingy on my finger and everything. It was going beep, beep, beep. I was like, what's that? What's that mean? And everything. The triage nurse quickly took off and everything, went back, ran back. Next thing you know, they come back and everything. They got a gurney. They throw me on a gurney. They bring me right back by the the security station and everything, put me in a room and everything, hooked me up to the EKG and everything. You know, 5-10 minutes later, the cardiologist comes in and everything. I had 198 beats per minute and everything. Cardiologist was like, you know what happens when a car stays in the red zone too long on the RPM gauge, right? I was like, yeah. You know, overheats and shuts off and it stops working. He's like, well, there's a good 90%, 95% chance your heart's going to explode right now because it's working so fast and overtime right now and everything. And I heard my grandmother crying. So maybe a half hour later and everything, I started talking gibberish and everything like I was a baby. You know, I couldn't process anything. I was like, baby, you know, couldn't talk English. And, you know, I had this foreign kid in there, you know, and I said I had to go pee. You know, trying to say I got to go pee and everything. So the security guard knew what I wanted. And the security guard said he's got to go to the bathroom. You know, I couldn't pee in one of those urinal things. So, you know, they helped me in the bathroom. And the Orient guy, kid, was like, do you always act like this or talk like this? And I got pissed. I was like, no, trying to mumble to him and everything, telling him, you know, wanting to tell him that, you know, I overdosed on meds and everything. That it wasn't me. So as I was laying there in bed and everything, last thing I remember was my grandmother crying. I woke up in a big, bright, white room, guys. No windows, no nothing around me and everything. And I was standing in this bright, white room and everything. You know, I just felt so at peace and everything. Like everything was alright, you know, no cares, no worries, no nothing in the world. And I was sitting there in this room and standing in this room and everything. I heard this little girl singing to me, soothing song to me. Made me feel so relaxed and at peace and everything. So when I woke up like 36 hours later, or however many hours it was later, you know, my grandmother was there. I said, Grandma, what's wrong? She's like, I thought you were getting ready to check out of this life and everything. And I said, no, I didn't check out. But, so I told my grandma what happened to me. And then my grandma started crying. And I said, Grandma, what's wrong? She's like, your mother used to sing